I'm Niamh. I'm from Brighton, but I live in Stoke now for or Newcastle for uni. Um, and I have a diagnosis of autism and ADHD and a stammer, obviously. I'm studying geology now. I started in 2020. I did 3 first years. The first one was natural sciences in environment. I only got halfway through it, and then I sort of burnt out. And then so I changed to geology and biology because I thought the subject was the problem. A bit of oversimplification there. And then I did half probably of first year geology and biology, and then I think I ran out of juice again, and then I did it again, but it was fine. And then I did half, well, probably less than half of year 2 last year, and then I did it again. But then they cancelled that pathway, so now I have to just do one, and I'm doing geology. I think the difficulty with uni is more, it's not really the studying, really. It's more sort of taking care of myself, like outside. I'm not very good at, or I have trouble with, like, just keeping on top of all the little kind of domestic bits that sort of are all individually small, and then but they kind of, like add up, And my memory is terrible, so I'm always missing things. For me, it's never the content, say, of a lecture. It's like getting to the lecture with like clean clothes on. Do you know what I mean? Which I didn't know would be the case when I went to uni the first time, because I didn't realise that, like, I sort of did, but I thought, because they say that you're young and then you obviously get older and you learn. So I was just waiting for the other shoe to drop, and it just sort of never did. So I guess it turned out not to be because I was young. I think I just sort of justified all of the things that with things like they say that teenagers are lazy. So I was like, okay, well, I'm a teenager, so this is laziness then, and I'm ticking off things and making it all make sense, because I didn't know that there was anything unusual about me. And then I got to uni and was like, wow, this is I can't do anything. This is wild. How is and obviously I suppose when I was 18 and all of my colleagues were also 18, but you did, and they would be kind of struggling, but it was like they were picking it up and I just was not. Well, my first year, I thought it was, or I was hoping it was anxiety, because I'd been told I was quite an anxious person, and so I was like, oh well, again, I was ticking things off and making it all make sense in a model kind of thing. So I thought it was anxiety, so I did some like CBT, but I was no good at that. Then because I just didn't understand the emotional concepts, and I was very good at making it seem like I'm good at using words that I don't really understand in sentences that sound right. So I was quite good at pretending, I guess. But I didn't realize that I was pretending. I thought learning all the words was what we was there for. But then I sort of got towards the end of the CUBT and thought, but after I get out of here, I'm just going to have a language model, and I don't really know how that's going to help me. So maybe I'm doing this wrong, because I was like, well, that's this clearly, like, there's supposed to be, I guess, a positive outcome of doing it. So I thought, well, okay, maybe I'm actually wrong about that, and it's not. The point of it isn't to build language about this. So I sort of started to, like, I turned up to one day and sort of stopped pretending to understand, and bless her, understandably, she was like, wait, but you were doing so well, why don't you and she vaguely mentioned autism to me in the end. I guess I guess part of the reason it didn't work for me was because the problem she was trying to solve wasn't anxiety, but she was obviously trying to solve it with anxiety things, because neither of us knew that. So then the following year, I'd seen something about ADHD, and then it gone down a massive research rabbit hole, where because I think for me the ADHD part is a lot more obvious, and obviously my teachers didn't pick up on things, or my folks didn't pick up on things enough to like think, oh, let's go to the doctor, but they did pick up on things about me being scattered, and like my memory not being that good, and me not really being able to like tidy up things. I just move things around, it looks the same. I kind of don't. It's hard for me to make sense of it. So that was very like obvious. So which is probably why I ended up with ADHD first, I think, and I did that through uni, because they've got a service for testing you for sort of dyslexia and dyscalculia and things, and ADHD, and I got a cognitive diagnosis of ADHD off of that, and then I got DSA assistance, and conveniently one of the people that sort of I then had meetings with because of that was like some kind of autism expert, which is lucky, because she was like, I don't know, and then I was very, very lucky with how quick. I got on a waiting list for the autism assessment that only just opened, and I was very lucky about that, because some people have been waiting for like 5 years, and I can't even imagine that. That's mad. Even at sort of school, I was very, very, very I was a very pleasure to have in class type person, and I really, really liked learning, and I was okay at it. Do you know what I mean? I was quite good. So, and I would just do I liked that there were rules, and I would follow them. I didn't understand why anybody wouldn't. There's rules, so follow them. And so I guess I kind of understand if you see a kid or a teenager who like is just sitting there doing their work calmly. Why would you suspect anything, really? And I guess at that stage I was obviously living at home, and so anything that I didn't do, they'd obviously I was like a kid or a teenager. There would still be food if I didn't organise getting the food, and I would probably still have clean clothes even if I didn't. Do you know what I mean? Which is like, bless my mum, thanks very much. I'm not taking that for granted at all, but like there was not really so much falling through cracks. And when I get to school and college, I missed all of my deadlines. I was late every day, but I was very, very polite, and like it's probably quite like I was just nice. And to my teachers, I was a very sort of try hard, probably quite annoying person. So I just got away with it. Like I did an additional maths GCSE, and I think I missed my homework like every week. And he was like, he'd obviously be like, oh yeah. And I think at school I could kind of, because I wouldn't really be listening, but I would look like I was listening. I would be looking right here and going, oh yeah, oh absolutely, yeah, oh interesting, thank you, and then I would be like, oh, and then we go out and go and do the task, and I would be, oh, what do we do? And I look at the board and try and work it out, and I normally could, and it was fine. Like, and so it's the same with like uni. I think I can, like, if I get into, say, like a practical, and like I have the sort of capability to engage properly with the practical whilst I'm there. So when I then go to a lecture, or I'm this close to dropping out, like this is, I can't. They're like, but why? You're doing it. Just do it. Just keep doing it. And I'm like, yeah, no, but it's not this. It's like getting on the bus. Like I'll be late every day. It's like, or like I'm running out the door all the time, or I didn't go because I had no clean clothes. It's like, do you know what I mean? It's like funny. Like people seem to associate academic attainment with like overall like functionality, and that's at least that rule doesn't work for me, I guess. That's not the case for me. I mean, I guess there's also the social element of uni is quite it's quite specific, and it's quite oriented towards drinking and being in a big dark room with very bright lights in which people are shouting, which isn't that good. And that can, but then I mean, people do seem to like form their own little pockets, and you can certainly find the autistics if you really put your mind to it, because they'll be like, you know, not to generalize, but there'll be a D&D society, you know, role play society, things like that, and you're like, or even like folk and acoustic, you're like, there I will find my my comrades, but yeah, I don't know really. I think it's just, you know, I guess I can say, oh, my working memory is no good, and it's might be quite hard for somebody to comprehend what that means, or like my executive function is not very good, or I'm a bit sort of time blind, and they go, oh yeah, that's interesting. I can imagine this one situation where that would affect you, but uni is by design fairly mentally taxing, and I think a metaphor that I might employ is that I guess where some people some people seem to have like an automatic some functions in their mind that are just automatic, that just happen. I feel like I'm doing it all on sort of manual, and it's like, and I can do all the things individually, like physically I've got like, I can get up and go and do something, obviously, so it's hard to convey to someone why it's hard or what will be hard. So then somebody at uni might say, and even like very, very early in being diagnosed, somebody at uni might say, once I'd called up and been like, oh, I'm failing, I can't do it, how do I sort this out? You know, what do I do? They were like, oh, you know, how can we help you? Or, you know, it can rely a lot on the support system at my uni, and I imagine quite a few. It relies on you being able to tell when it's going wrong, or like that, you know, or you know, I might have a meeting after having failed a few times, might have a meeting very early in the year, being like, oh, you know, we keep like, we'd like, obviously it'd be nice, we'll try and help you this year or something, or we're aware that you keep failing, like what, you know, how can we, and then they'll go, oh well, so when you start to feel anxious, email, or when you start to get a bit behind, email, or when you start to get overwhelmed with your housework stuff, and it's like, well, I'm anxious now, I'm anxious all the time, I'm overwhelmed with what I'm doing all the time, like, I don't know where the line is, when am I supposed to email you? And then so I email them, it's reached a point, and then I miss a deadline, and then I email them, and they're like, oh, it's too late now, and I'm like, oh yeah, but I emailed you in week 2, you know, it's, I don't know, it's like, obviously I understand that there's only so much people can do, but I really feel for people who still don't have DSA. If I didn't have DSA people, which I mean I don't at the moment because of the admin part, because you can't do it until you have student finance and there's admin, but I need someone to help me with the admin, which would be the student, which would be the DSA person, but you haven't got them because you need a student finance to, and you could just get stuck, you know. It's, I understand why it's hard to help someone who doesn't know what the best, but you know, I suppose people who are more typical go to uni and it is made for them, I guess. Whereas we're, you know, again, doing it on sort of manual. Yeah, the admin part, because I've been going to, it's week 5 now, week 6 now, maybe. And I've just been going to the course that I was expecting to be on based on my friend's timetable. Because you have to, I was on medical leave because my brain wasn't working. Long story short, and you have to like sort out coming back 2 months before you want your leave to end. But I was like on medical leave. Do you know what I mean? My brain wasn't working. Like, what do you want from me? I wasn't reading my emails. I was coping. Do you know what I mean? And and so I didn't do that. And so I did it. towards the end of the summer, I was like, oh, I wonder how the system works, you know. I should have done it earlier, but I was ill, you know, I don't know. And so then you have to get a doctor's appointment for them to like say that you're like fine, or it was kind of like, it was, you know, so I sort of just made an appointment, and they hadn't spoken to me before, because I'm not good at engaging with services, so like, so I find it difficult. So I had just gotten my like something from an OT to say, oh yeah, they're like ill, let them off, and they're like, yes. So I was on medical leave based on that. So then I had to go to the doctor and be like, oh hi, we've never had a conversation before, but I need a letter from you to say that I'm like better now, even though it's autism. I'm not. It's not. I mean, I was burnt out, which had resolved a little bit, but I'm not. Do you know what I mean? I just need a letter from you to say that the disability has left my body so that I can go back to uni, and which they eventually gave me. But obviously, it takes time to get an appointment, and then I was struggling to even like week on week, every single day. I knew that I had to go and collect the letter, and I just forgot. And it sounds so. It's like but I just forgot every day for like 4 weeks, and so then I got the letter, and then I wasn't sure how to write the email because I don't know how, because the automatic thing's gone because it's too late in the year. I don't know how to write the email, but all of this stuff, the DSA people would have helped me, but you need to be on student finance to have that, for which you need to be registered, and I couldn't get registered because of all of the admin, which the DSA people would normally help me with, but they didn't. Because I didn't have student, and etc., round and round. Accessing the system requires you to have skills that can be hard. It's, you know, so it's just a bit of a treadmill sometimes.